And we are going live. We're going live here today. Get these knots out of here. How's everybody doing? Alafia, greetings, and Hotep. Yeah. Alafia, greetings, and Hotep. Everyone doing today? You've got your Omiyinka 7 live here, coming to you from Omi's production studio. And we're going to be taking this from the Oracle Divination Network as well. I came on last night and I had to say a few things about Mr. William Jr., William Jr. Cosby, better known as Bill Cosby. And he was heavy on my conscience, so I had to speak out on behalf of a few things. But there were a few more things that I left out last night that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And come on in and have a seat, relax, because this was going to take a minute. And normally I don't take out my apparatus and go into the spirit and ask the spirit for any particular question for a person. But on behalf of Cosby, since he is absent and he is not able to speak on behalf of himself, I thought I would take some time today to just do a quick briefing over last night's discussion. One of the things that someone had suggested that I thought was excellent, and that is to write to the Bar Association in Pennsylvania in regards to the inconsistency of how the trial was handled in the courtroom. And a few more other things came up that I failed to mention yesterday. And as you know, in a proceeding, you have a deposition. And I understand that the deposition that Mr. Cosby gave was sealed, and it was supposed to stay sealed. You know, just like when a youngster has a record and they're underage, it becomes sealed and it cannot be open and should not be open. But unfortunately, I understand that Mr. Cosby's deposition was open and the seal was taken off. That's a regulation violation, and it doesn't follow with the proceedings of the courtroom. And also, in looking at the case and following the judge and the procedure, it appears that he lost control and also lost the sequence of the procedures, because I understand through a reliable source that there was no interrogatory, a battery of questions asked to the jury. And interrogatories are questions that have to be answered and placed on the record. And usually they send those interrogatories out to the various different defendants, or else they will ask those questions of the actual jury. They were never asked, I was told. Now, I could be mistaken, but I want you to do your due diligence and go out and look and check also to see if those interrogatory questions were asked by the jury. Now, those are just two things I wanted to add. And once again, inconsistency of procedural and following proper compliance. And one other thing that someone mentioned, I cannot validate it, but someone mentioned that there was somewhat of an audio videotape that was edited before it was given to the actual jury, which that is tampering with evidence. And if there is to be any books developed out of this hearing, that would also be a violation of procedures and courtroom regulation. So here we have a lot of inconsistency, just as if a novice was performing, but these were supposed to be skilled and highly seasoned members of the bar through the DA, and the judge was supposed to be seasoned as well. So these are things that would cause one to think that there is going to be an appeal, and that there will be an appeal from his representative and counsel, Mr. Cosby. And if he or she is up on everything, then she's definitely going to want to point those things out and to request to have an appeal. So I want you guys to be mindful of that. And those of you who are seers, who are find out what they see. It could be a glass of water to look at the ripple in the water, or it could be an actual reading of some sort or frequency. I did read the auras of our dear brother, Bill Cosby, and I noted that there was a calmness about him. And he wasn't shaken. It's almost as if God was covering and protecting him. He wasn't discombobulated. He wasn't excited, anxious. And he walked consistently without dragging his feet. That gave me the understanding that he was being covered and protected. You must know that Bill is one of the gods, and he must have a connection to a higher force. He had to have had in order to survive through the jungle that he went through. I'd like to share with you the reading that I got on our dear brother. He's been a fan of mine for a long time, and I feel I must do my due diligence and pull my books out and look into the Cosmic record to find out what is his temperament now, to find out will he do time, to find out if God is providing a way of escape for him. So I went to my Cosmic records under the mole, and this is a divination reading. There are many different types of divination readings that you can read from. And this mole is during the meditation, the Tibetans, Laman recited 6 syllables, each one bearing a particular force or idea. One, ah, represents space. The other, ra, represents power. The next one, pa, represents peace. The next one, tasa, is destruction. The next one, na, is prosperity. The next one, diha, is the mind. The next one is mo. One of the many Tibetan methods of divination is based on the concatenation of these syllables, which identifies the image, revealing the message. Now, I've done this reading prior to coming on because I had to do preparation. And the reading that I got for Mr. Cosby in asking, will he be released and will he be set free? There were 2 readings that I did in order to get the right reading. And those 2 readings, I'll tell you in a second here. Okay. Diha Ra. And that stands for flower garden. This was his first reading. And I asked the question, will he be set free? And I asked, did he do it? and it came back under the flower garden. This oracle speaks of beauty, pleasure, and love. It is particularly awesomest for relationships. Your intentions are good, and you are looking for a union and harmony. You have every chance of achieving your objective, provided you do exactly what you want. Follow your intuition. Learn how to speak to yourself and listen to yourself. Then you will be able to enter the flower garden. So where is this flower garden? Sounds like a peaceful place. That was the first reading. The second reading was Ra-ah. Ra-ah. And that was the shining lamp, is what it represents. The lamp radiates its light through the darkness and then makes it possible to distinguish good from evil. For the moment, your mind is confused and in the dark, and you cannot find a solution to your problems. Don't expect any help or encouragement. Only you can clear the mist so as to see the situation more clearly. The omen is favorable. The omen is favorable, provided that you see people and things as they really are and not as you would like them to be. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. He's got to follow his own mind, and he's got to speak to himself. Bill was quiet throughout the whole procedure until they asked him a question. Nevertheless, he never seemed riled or he never seemed discombobulated, but Bill knows something that we don't know. Bill has a personal relationship with God, and God is going to come to his rescue, even there in prison, and he is going to have a chance for an appeal. This is what the reading relates to. It talks about flowers, peaceful harmony, and a shining lamp. As we know, it gets dark in the prison, so he will be able to see a shining lamp if he listens to his own mind, and this omen is favorable. He has a favorable reading, which tells me that something is about to happen. Now, most of you might not believe in oracles. You might not even think that that's something that you want to engage in. Let me turn this off here. We're going to let that cool down a little bit. I'm going to let those cool down. They're still hot. We definitely have to see that Bill has an omen that's favorable. So, if there was a sign that he was guilty, it would have been revealed. And just as Bill said, he never had sex with that woman, and he only offered her the pills. He said maybe at one time or another I may have offered them pills, but he did not say he gave them pills for the benefit of sedating them to have sex with them. Bill is innocent, ladies and gentlemen. He will get his opportunity and his day in court to appeal the discommunication and the disorganization of the courtroom. They will have to pay for that as a misfit trial, and he will get the opportunity to go before the judge again. There's enough people out there that are already talking about contacting the actual board to inquire about these procedures. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Now, I want you to know that I did that for Bill. He is up in age. He's somebody's father and somebody's husband. And I would want the same thing done for my husband or for anybody in the family for that matter. And I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that the man is innocent. I believe that God is going to come to his rescue, and while he's there in the quietness of his own heart, he'll begin to ponder over some things that he did do that brought this about. Now, most people want to say that he did not spend time in the hood, he did not spend time with us, he did not come to our rescue, but that's not true. He did come to our rescue with monetary gains and paying money to colleges, a large sum of money. And some people find it an opportunity to mow him down now. Some people find an opportunity to mow him down. And in mowing him down is the wrong way to go. Lo and behold, there goes you. If that's what you're trying to do, kick a man when he's already down. I've been told that you don't kick a person when they're already down. He can't even speak. He's choked up. But God is going to get him to speak again. The man is chastising himself. The man is chastising himself. And he is causing himself to go through this grief. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, our duties is to pray for him that he doesn't perish in the night. As I said, he is a senior and he is an older man, and he must have somebody to undergird him. And if you are seers out there and you have the ability to be clairvoyantly and can read energies or can read oracles, then you must do readings. You must find out, what does the Spirit have to say? We've done a lot of talking about evidence, but we have not sought out the Spirit, and we have not asked the Spirit, what do you have to say, Spirit? And is the man innocent or is he not? And this horrible thing that they're trying to put on him, will he be admonished and will his character not be tainted? God protects those who can't speak for themselves. And Bill couldn't speak for himself throughout the whole courtroom hearing. God is with him. Emmanuel is with him, I know. And his omen was a pleasurable omen surrounding itself with shining lamps and lights, meaning he will not be in the dark anymore. Let me read that again, the one about the lamp. The lamp radiates its light through the darkness and then makes it possible to distinguish good from evil. Maybe, perhaps, Bill was confused, but God is going to make it so that he can distinguish good from evil. For the moment, his mind is confused and in darkness, and he cannot find a solution to his problem. Don't expect any help or encouragement. No, we're not giving any help or encouragement like we should. And that's who he's talking about, us. Don't expect any help or encouragement. Only you can clear Bill. Only you can clear the mist so as to see the situation more clearly. This omen is favorable, provided that you see people, things as they really are and not as you would like for them to be. That means Bill has more confidence in people than he does himself. He has more ability to see the good in people. And that's why he cannot character assassinate those women. And that's why he cannot lash out at them, because he wants to see the good in them. And as you know, he was paying some of the women's rent. And even the woman that was on trial, she had forfeited her promise, even though he had given her $3.1 million. She had already received money, and she forfeited on the promise. So Bill has more faith in people than he does himself. Now he's being encouraged to spend time with God and to look into good and evil and to open up his mouth and confess to God whatever it is he hasn't confessed. But he will have a favorable omen, and he will have a chance to have his day in court. Somebody is going to set up things, preferably some other black lawyers, for him to go in the courtroom again and to properly be tried and given another chance, because they fumbled that court hearing. Disorganization, rampant women running out of control, the jury disrespectful, giving orders to the judge about when they should leave, tampering with the material evidence, such as the video and the audio, and not to mention forgetting to read the interrogatories to the juror, not getting the answers that the courtroom needed. How could you make a decision without the interrogatories? You need those answers to fill in the gap of the missing link. Now, we think the bill may be put away and tucked away, but don't you know there's souls out there praying for Bill right now? There's souls, and just like in the Bible, when they prayed and the jail cells open up. And this won't be the first time that they open up for an innocent person. No, it won't. I believe that there's a lot good about Bill. I believe that a man that was reaching out to love in a fashion that he was by giving his money, when a man gives his money, that exemplifies he loves heartily. So if we think that these women weren't consensual, we are a fool. These women had to all be consensual. And he had to have had a rapport with them. So how can you personally say that a man who's courting another woman and who's getting fresh and sporting her is guilty when she clearly agreed upon all that had happened in this situation? So daily, let us take some time out of our schedule to consult the oracles on behalf of our dear brother Bill. Let us read diligently and find the answers to the missing link, because there's a number of us want Bill to take some lashings and are putting our foot on Bill's neck. But lo and behold, those that are putting their foot on Bill's neck, just be mindful of the fact when your time comes, there won't be anybody to stand there with you. And we have some horribly evil people in this world that want to show themselves strong, all in the name of putting someone else down. Now, they didn't say that Bill penetrated her, nor did they find sperm on her. He didn't even rape her. They said he fondled her breasts and gave her some kind of quaaludes. Now, if she was already a junkie and taking drugs already, she must have asked him for the drugs, I'm sure, because Bill is not a drug addict. At least he doesn't appear to be. But we got a lot of work to do in our community. This is just another game. And we know how the game is played. They watch you and set you up from the beginning. It don't happen overnight. They have to wait till the right time is right, and they have to get the right players in place. And when they got a black woman in place, that was the nail to help seal the coffin. Because they figured if she solidified it, it didn't matter. All they need to do is have one black woman on the stand that solidified it. Now, we know that there were many white men earlier in the year that were being accused of touching and penetrating other women. But that was just a stage show. That was a stage rehearsal. That was a stage rehearsal. Can't you see? They weren't going to put those non-Melanite men, those Anglos, in jail. They weren't going to put any of them in jail. And now we have a man that has raped a 4-year-old girl, and all he got was probation. That was a stage act. They were not going to put them in jail. They were staging the scene to get ready to bring in Cosby. And it wasn't about him penetrating or fondling any woman. It was about the fact that they wanted him out of the way because he represented a change for black people. A change because Bill had the money to buy a potential change. Now, I understand that Bill had land and they wanted to bring the pipelines through his land, but he said no. So he's in the way again. They want him out of the way. And when white people get serious about trying to move somebody out of the way, they go to some extreme things. See, he wasn't killed right away. Sometimes they want to see you suffer. And they want to look at your face because some of the women said, he's coming out now. Let's look at him. There he is. They want to see the expression on his face. But thank God Almighty that he gave him a calmness about his and made him whole. He wasn't shaken at all. He wasn't discombobulated. He wasn't worried. He wasn't shiftful. He was calm because Emmanuel was with him. God was with him. And some of the dirty, low-down things that we do, we are going to have to consult our oracles. And we are going to have to turn to the Spirit. Because, see, our weapons are not carnal through the pulling down of stronghold, but they're mighty like a two-edged sword. I told you that we must consult the oracles when a question has to be answered. And this question has been answered. Bill is not guilty. Bill is not innocent. Well, I said Bill is innocent. He is not guilty. And the oracles speak louder than words. He has some work to do in speaking to God and talking to God and asking God to show up in his life and show up in a hurry. There are a number of people that are very saddened by this, very saddened, who do have the authority to call the board of laborer and the legal department to inquire about inappropriate procedures and talking about filing a claim against inappropriate procedure. There are many people going to the Bar Association and voicing their opinion on behalf of Bill. Bill was our friend. Like it or not, he was silent when his son died. He didn't trouble us. But some people said they wish he had came to the hood to let them know that his son was killed by a sniper. They wish that he had said something. Then he would have had a connection with the hood, and they could have got together, and they could have roamed the streets and looked for that corporate. There's so much being done to us. Some would wonder sometime, is there a God in the sky? that will come and rescue us. In a time of trouble, he's always right on time. And I do believe Bill has a relationship with him. And I believe that's why he is not trembling with fear, because God is going to provide a way of escape for his people. He always does. And remember, I said, we knew magic. We have a pineal gland. And in that Cossack record, the pineal gland, lies all and the sum total of our ancestors' cesspool of knowledge. We can tap into that anytime we want. We have not forgotten. We carry our ancestors with us in our medulla oblongata and our pineal gland. We can call on solutions to problems and answers. Why don't you call on the superior one today? Why don't you call on the hidden one today? Your dear brother is in trouble. Take some time out to consult the oracles, to get a solution, to get a reading. And don't be afraid, because Emmanuel is with Bill. God is with him, and he will not suffer, and he will not be there long. Thus said the Spirit. The oracles are favorable. The omen is favorable. He will see light again. And these flowers, what about these flowers that's going to be encamped around him? These flowers, let me get these flowers out again. Because we have to be mindful of the fact that God looks at our deeds, and he also pardons us, and he provides a way of escape. And I believe today he's providing a way of escape for Bill and his family. Because see, he has a wife and a daughter, that God doesn't want to leave his wife husbandless and his daughter without a father. And at this age, if there's been any sin committed, let Bill take it to his grave, and let him go before the halls of judgment, and let him be judged there. Touch not my anointed, and do my prophet no harm. Because if he is to be chastised, let him go through the halls of judgment and be chastised there. Because Bill truly has been an anointed one amongst us. And I don't believe God would have let him blossom that far. And he did not sell his soul to the devil. And nor did he sell his son. Someone must understand that Bill knows the cost, and he counted up all the costs for trying to present a decent show that will reveal Black people in a better light and give us a chance to be respected and not frowned upon on the screens of the television. He wanted that opportunity to take control of indecency and bring about a people who are God's chosen one, the indigenous people, to be seen as they are. You don't know how many whiplashes he's taken for being in that profession, for trying to uphold these things and trying to make sure that these things are done appropriately. Now, I do want you to understand that you're going to have to push yourself a little bit more. Bill is our brother, and we are his keepers. And we must understand that for many, many years, Bill demonstrated across the screen what our family should be diligently doing. He did not tell us to drink and drive. He even upheld what he believed when it came to making a statement about indecency. So why would he go and live a life contrary to that It doesn't make sense. He would not live a life contrary to that because that's what he stood for, decency. And I'm sure if his friend Sidney Poitier was here, he would be able to speak out on his behalf. But when you get up in age and you stop going out and you don't have the same circle of friends and those people are not around you like they should be, God will send a laborer in the harvest for you. So believe it or not, Bill is going to be set free. So get ready for the celebration. I don't know when, but Bill is going to be set free. That court hearing must be overturned. Even I know that it was misfit and it should have never been able to go on, and those jury members should be dismissed and put on probation for the way they carried on. And the DA has to take responsibility, and so does the judge. Because that was an escapade in there, the way those women were running around, groping themselves and screaming and talking loud. That was an escapade. It was a scene that they put on. They were staging a show. And anytime you open up the back door and say, is there anybody that would like to come in that can file their complaint? Come on in. You can make yourself some money. They wanted to get Bill anyway. So they had to get some people to substantiate some false indictments because they couldn't do it all themselves. So they needed to solicit. Whenever they're going to do you in, I know how they do. They go out and they try to find someone that can write a statement and they offer money. They solicit them to make bad statements against you, conduct statements, belittling your conduct. This is how they do. I know. I've been there before. And only Bill is not out of prison to debunk every one of these so-called false indictments. But God always created a laborer in the harvest for his people. The laborer is already working on overturning this case to go back in or to deem it a mistrial. You must believe this. God is not a God that he could lie. And we must understand that Bill had lived some kind of life before this. Yes, we were all ruthless in our younger days. But these people were talking about 30 years ago. Come on now. You can't bring somebody in to the courtroom under charges that were presented 30 years ago. And you don't know if these people had a relationship and they were courting over those many years. Bill is 70-some years old. He could have had many girlfriends or many casual relationships 30 years ago. That's what tells you that this is a forest. They're planting one on him because they don't care how they get a statement against him. Just anyone bring a statement in. We want a reason to put him away. We don't have the nerve to kill him outright, but we can kill Bill by putting him away. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Spirit said it's not going to happen because there's an omen, a positive omen on behalf of him and on his head, and the light is shining on him. So be aware, those false indictments. Be aware. Be aware. The lies that you put on someone, the indictment that you put on someone, you must be aware. Because you cannot go away and think you're going to sleep at night when you put false innuendos and lies on someone. Bill is going to make it through. And he has already been judged. He's judged himself. And God has already dealt with him. So whatever he didn't or didn't do, no one has the right to bring indictments on God's people. You cannot affect or hurt God's people when they commit a sin. God must judge them. And Bill is one of God's chosen ones. And you have no business putting your hands on Bill or falsifying lies. Every one of those women that falsified a lie on Bill will hear from the Creator, because Bill has been set aside to do God's good work. And his days are not over with yet. He has done a good job on the Cosby Show. And those fools who said, why would he create a show like that, knowing that we couldn't aspire to it, knowing that we can't live up to it, and that they don't know anybody that lives like that? Keep on living and working hard. Maybe your money will get to buy you a $200,000 home, and you can live like that too. But don't take away the opportunity for us to dream dreams, because we were told to dream dreams. You won't always be down in the gutter and living a basement life. You won't always be in the hood struggling, trying to get the crabs off you. You won't always be in that position. That's why so many of those young people who have a chance to get out, they get out and they better themselves. And I would suggest you do the same thing, rather than discouraging your Black African-American people to keep living like NIGGA. Because that's the way Negroes live when they have to fight amongst themselves and they have to kill, steal, and rob. That is not how human beings are supposed to live. We're just perpetuating the slave man mentality. We must shake it off. Shake off the slave man mentality and believe that we're royalty. And that, yes, we can aspire to live the way that Bill perpetuated and laid out the red carpet. Yes, we can aspire to have all those things. And he wasn't trying to be white. Because you must understand that our ancient Egyptians were richer than rich. Queen of Sheba had more gold than anyone. So how would you call being rich white? We're just down on our luck right now, but in a minute we're going to get over the grain house, because the riches of the wicked are just laid up for the just. We'll be taking over those riches in a minute. Don't you have any faith, ye of little faith? Now, there's been some good broadcasters on here speaking negative of Bill, talking raunchy against Bill, and not even offering the right hand of fellowship. Where is your decency? We offer the right hand of fellowship for them that are lost, and we pray their faith. We don't discuss amongst others and stand with them and say, yes, he was guilty, and then stand there and crucify him with the other race. We don't do that. If we needed to speak to Bill, we should have spoke to him in privacy, not getting on these airways speaking negative behind him. No, he cannot relive his life again, and you cannot say that Bill had it coming, because he didn't. No man of God deserves to be put in a prison or a dungeon. And some of you Black African-American people, calling yourself professional lawyers and reporters, you have got to act it and stop playing the part of a Negro. Because a Negro don't want to see any of us make it, and he keeps pulling us down in a crab bucket, and they don't even see themselves making it. So why would they take our dreams away, and the dreams that Bill would present to us? Maybe one day that one of us will aspire to advance ourselves, to become the doctor that he played, or to become the lawyer that his wife paid, and then advance yourself so that you can buy a picture that's worth more than somebody's house. It makes me a little angry to know that there are still those Negroes out there who are afraid of being free and having what our ancestors had, because our ancestors were damn rich. You better believe it. Our ancient ancestors, don't you remember? We didn't just come from slaves. We came from the ancient Hatshepsut. We came from the hidden one, Amun-Ra. We came from folks that created the first toilet stool and put window panes in the window. We came from those who were creating language long before those other people were grunting and moaning around on the ground on all four. You must remember who you came from and who you belong to. Bill wasn't shaken. He know he belongs to God, and God is going to prevail in his life. Bill wasn't shaken because he know he's done things for us that we don't even know about. He's kept us out of danger and told some of us to pull up our pants and pull our dresses down and get up off the ground. And he told some of us that he could make it better and show us how to be entertainers without belittling ourselves to the level of the runtiest human being. We're puny human beings, and we must act that way. We're Gentile people. Bill wanted us to be something like a Gentile person, letting the white people know that we were their mothers and fathers and we came from greatness. But if you don't want any part of it, don't put Bill down because he wanted it for us. And stop getting on these radio airways and putting your 2 cents out there as if you are speaking for every black person, because you're not. And there is some good in Bill. The question is, would you not kick him while he's already down? Or do you see a reason to kick him now because so many other white people are kicking him and you want to step in and get a kick too? This is a time when you're supposed to lift your brother up. I don't care what they said he did. I don't care what they accuse him of, because they've lied about a lot of people and put a lot of people in jail for no reason. And you don't have any shadow of a doubt that he may be innocent until proven guilty. And he hasn't been proven guilty. So in my book, he's still innocent because they haven't proven him guilty. And that's the natural bone truth, the bucket naked truth, Ruth. You've been listening to Maddie Harvey's baby sister. Thank you so very much for joining me on this day. Thank you so much. And I wanted to come on to let you know that the training that someone asked for the co-parenting and for special education has been completed. The training is a 3-part training, and it will be going on sale shortly. This is the making of actually, 10 years of putting it together, getting our photographer out and our graphic person to videotape. And one is called Garth Vaden Oracles. And this is talking about parent information centers and talking about how to advocate for your children in special education. This is number 2. And we had people from around the 50 states there. And these people all had one didn't. 3 of the people had their own parent information center, and they were working with their children in special ed. And we had lots of tutorials, and I don't know if you can see that or not. And we were all dressed in our African attire by black people, for black people. We wanted to create something that would allow our black people to have their own training on parent information centers, special education law, the 94-142, and the IDEA law. And these will be on sale, and I can't tell you when. We still have to do some better jobs of packaging and get them into my package with my logo. And also, I've completed the storytelling for children, storytelling hour for children, and that has been completed, and it will be on my website, and you will be able to purchase it for a reasonable fee. I will have a newsletter also dealing with parent information centers and dealing with child development and talking about directorships for early childhood. Now, this was done at one of the teacher center where I actually did an Apgat story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and the children love that particular one. And I do storytelling for my grandchildren. If you go out on the Facebook, you can see Landon, my grandson, and I out there doing A Brown Girl in the Ring. Now, this was my last, how could I say it? My last sermon that I preached at one of the churches there in Maryville, Indiana. And I was asked to come and bring the message for a special Women's Day program. And I tend to hold on to this one because I do not teach from that perspective, from the perspective of Christianity. But this one was my last one that I preached. And it's full of nuggets with me talking about various different things. And it will also be on sale. Now, I did get my parents to produce something for me. One of my singles, they produced the music for. Some of you have heard it. It's been on my blog talk. It's the name of this particular single is "I'll Be Brief," and one of my parents actually put the music behind it, and I wanted to thank him for doing that for me. I did want to have a number of my single poetry put to music. And this particular CD has some of the poetry on there, but it has the meditation. It's a session on explaining to you how I wrote my poetry. I write my poetry when I go into meditation, and I write from the right side of my brain. And on this videotape, I was demonstrating how I would go into meditation. And the Tree of Life meditation is the only one that I use by Ron and Nefer. Amen. And I'm talking about the meditation and how I accumulated 36 poems from being half asleep and half awake in a state of unconsciousness and writing while asleep. And also a segment on this particular tape, DVD, is talking about why African American women and white women cannot get along in the workforce. So these particular DVDs will be made available to you. I've been working pretty hard. I'm still working on my cover for the book on the effects that females have on African American males. And I think I'm going to have someone to assist me with the cover. The manuscript is being spiffed up a little bit, but nevertheless, I will be going hopefully on tour to lecture at some of the places like I did when I first was defending the thesis and the hypothesis. And I'll be going around and speaking and defending my hypothesis on the effects that females have on African American males, coupled with their culture. I think that we all should be producing curriculum. I think that we all should be producing our own products. Now, I enjoy writing, and I have to force myself to sit down and write. And I definitely enjoy doing workshops and symposiums. And I plan to get out there and to produce some of my work that I have been producing. And some of you don't know about my radio station under Omi Inca's Broadcaster, which I do a health series on health and wellness. And some of those particular manuscripts I'm going to make into ebooks because I have been talking about cancer, techniques for healing and producing a recovery. I have had 4 people, Jake, Maddie, Edward, 4 people in my family, well, 5, who contacted cancer. And my brother just beat cancer. Thank you. Praise be to God. There is no more cancer, and he's had all the radiation treatments and the chemotherapy. But the chemotherapy rendered him blind when he took the chemotherapy. But at least he is cancer-free. Thank God for that. So I am going to be putting on a series of methodologies and procedures that my brother, who is a naturopathic doctor, who used certain procedures to aid and assist his mother, who is also now cancer-free. Now, cancer can come after you, but that doesn't mean that you have to accept cancer. You can fight it off, and you can use non-drug therapies to bring about progressive healing. And I am not proclaiming to anyone that they can get a cure. My family did change their diet. 2 people, my oldest brother and my oldest sister, and they're cancer-free now. My one brother is still fighting with cancer. And I had a brother who did not beat cancer because it metastasized from the lungs to the brain, and he eventually perished and became blind before he transitioned. And he did not beat cancer. So he was not able to beat cancer because he allowed them to open him, and it spread it and metastasized. I can say that health is very important, and we must look at changing our diet and eating differently. And we must understand that cancer is not the final word. We can recycle our bodies, and our bodies can help us when we put the right food in our bodies. Now, I want to tell you teachers out there that the website that I have is one for my book, and that particular website is finished. I just have to make sure that the store is working properly so you can take your shopping basket and shop. Okay? You'll be seeing more stories. I am a storyteller by profession. My uncle was a storyteller, a prolific storyteller. So I'm picking up where he left off at. I wish I could play the harmonica like him and play some music. Play me some music. That's what he used to say. But nevertheless, I anticipating doing a lot more stories. And as some of you know, I do the one-woman show, Harriet Tubman, The Woman Called Moses. Why not go out and listen to some of my segments on Blog Talk radio station? But I intend to go on tour for Harriet. And I've been trying to wear my hair as nappy as I can so I can get some styles like Harriet and get a get-up and an outfit like Harriet. Because see, hair here, she'll tell you just like that you just can't go around with your hair on or your hair like that. You got to, you have to do it like a that there, and get that hair wrapped up on your head so you don't look like some kind of woman right out of slavery. No, I came out of slavery. Hair come out of slavery. I know I did. And I fought down there with them Confederates, and I was down there in them swamps and them rice swamps, and I fought like crazy. Nobody didn't touch me because I told my pistol. And I told them if they didn't whine on and leave me alone, I was going to shoot up the place. Yes, I did. And I tell you, I ain't a least bit ashamed, because when they say my name, I say, I was ready, because I carry my pistol. I even carry my pistol when I come back here to talk to y'all, because some of y'all fools may want to kick up some dust, and I may have to shoot you. You know, if I had to lay the hammer down on my brother, I'd lay the hammer down on any man that try to come and get me. There's 2 things I have, and that is liberty or death. If I can't have one, then I have the other. So I don't want to have to pull my pistol on nobody, because head trying to be a nice person today. Because I'm getting ready to go on tour. I got to get myself together. Get myself together right now. Yes. Head going to be on the go again. Yes, sir. I understand that they put Bill in jail. I'm so sorry for Bill. So sorry for Bill. Y'all pray for Bill. Pray for Bill. Because he wasn't no bad person. Pray for him. That's what Harriet would say. She would tell you to pray for him. Now, once again, teachers, as a professional development person, I know you have hours that you have to complete in order to renew your license. And I know some of you want to go into education, but you just don't want to spend 5 years in school. Then you can go into child development, And they even have a program called Way of Life. It's an excellent program with all of the spiritualities there intact. So you can teach the child about the spirit. The Way of Life, I'm going to be bringing it to you in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be talking, if not sooner, I'm going to be talking about the Way of Life child development for those women who would like to get their certificate in child development and work on the spirit of a child. You know, Maria Montessori often taught about the spirit of the child. And she always said it was very important to let the child guide you because his spirit was going to be leading him or her. Now, in producing these products, I want to be a self-made curriculum writer. In curriculum, we did a lot with looking at other people's curriculum, but we also adapted curriculums and created our own. So hopefully, I'll be able to have a more universal curriculum to work with in child development. Now, a lot of you know that I am a professional development specialist, and I do go out to assess those teachers who are applying for their CDA. If any of you out there are finished with your portfolio and would like for somebody to look over it, if you have written your competencies, your 13 competencies, and would like for me to come and read them and to make any adaptations that are necessary, and if you are ready to take your examination and you would like for me to come out and proctor your examination, then you could definitely get a hold of the council and look me up under Sherelle M. Garth and request that I be your advisor. Now, we've changed that to a professional development now. Now we do a little bit of everything. We just don't do advising work. We actually give you the test, collect your portfolio, and collect all your competencies, and sit down and talk to you about your goals. What goals do you have for your future? Would you like to open up your own family child care and be a provider? Would you like to work in a commercial group child care in a center? Would you like to have a family child care at home and have a group child care with 14 or more children? All those things you can talk to me about, and I'll be able to give you some insight to help you to get on your path. Because as an advisor, we now take on the responsibility as being an advocate as well, and helping to assist you in your progress through the non-traditional route of the CDA Child Development Associate degree. Now, I hope and trust that you just don't stop at your CDA. I hope some of you go on to get your bachelor's degree, and then your master's, and perhaps your PhD, if you still want to be in school after you've dealt with those children. Well, I will say this much, that on the website, we're going to have a ton of materials on there. And the website for the professional development is up. And I have one for my music as well. And I was trying to combine the two so that you can go to just the one. Now, there is one that I have for family life out there, and it is a consortium with everything on it. And I might just open that up and tell you to have at it. There's tons of things you can download and have for free. Because I know teachers love things for free and they don't want to spend any money. So go on to Lilly Institute for Exceptional Education.weebly.com, and you can find that website there. Now, I want to thank you for spending this evening with me. I'm going to get back to work. I have some work to do, but I want to read you a short story. You see, I'm unplugged there with my little shirt on. I don't have my, I think I'm unplugged, but I still got my earphones on. Okay, let me see if I can put this together here. Once upon a time, there was a village built up on the edge of the river where the water churned roughly over the rocks. There were signs at the river edge warning of the dangers, but people often ignored the signs and fell into the river. They either drowned or floated downstream to a waterfall and were never seen again. The couple decided to take matters into their own hands by helping to build a large fence along the rough part of the river. That was prevention. Offering swimming lessons, that was education, through the National Council of Family Relations. Speaking to the villagers about the dangers of going into the river without a life jacket was prevention and education. Conducting classes to teach people how to maneuver their boats around the rocks, that was prevention and education. The villagers came up with a plan. A net was put downstream to catch those who had fallen in the river. A full-time crew was hired to watch for villagers floating downstream, pulled them from the river, dried them off, and got them all dry and into the ambulance. A new hospital was built closer to the river's edge. All these efforts increased the survival rate of the people who fell into the river, but many were still injured or drowned. Emergency preparation is what they used. Soon, fewer and fewer people were falling into the river, and those who did were better able to help themselves out. Family life education is about teaching the skills and knowledge needed to avoid falling into the river and about knowing how to help yourself if you have to. Now, I read that to you because we must be like villagers. When we see someone that needs help, that may be floating downstream, that need a lift or a life jacket, we must go and help and assist. We can't continue to say that he's on his own. We have to be very mindful of the fact that there, by the grace of God, goes us. And when we create prevention in the neighborhood, and when we create life-supporting lifeguards, and when we build bridges around us to protect us for preparation and emergency, these are the things that we must do in our community. We don't have community anymore, unfortunately. Our people are without community. They no longer have community. And our people don't believe in reciprocity. If I borrow a cup of sugar from you, then you replace that back. You replace that back by giving me a pie that you bake with the sugar or a slice of pie. But we must understand that our brothers' problems are our own, and we are our brother's keeper. But we cannot do that when we are out here trashing our brothers and sisters on the airways, trying to make ourselves more bigger than life. Your time will come, and just as they go after one of us, they can go after all of us. So if we don't stand together and we don't defeat them by standing together, then they'll always beat up on us. If we had came out front and said something about the situation with Bill, I don't think they would have put him in jail. I think they would have feared the people. But we were quiet as a mouse. We weren't saying anything, and neither was Bill. So we've gotten too polite. Now we want to be so polite that we're no earthly good, and we're certainly not politically correct. That is the time when you throw a fit, when you know you're innocent. and you know that somebody is perpetrating a lie on you, that would have been perfectly all right for Bill to kick up some dust and to show his real color. He was being too white for them. And they led him right to the slaughter. But what about you? And what about you? And you? And you? What could we have done? We could have got on that phone and made a phone call and called the Bar Association and said that there's a zoo in the courtroom and you ought to see it. I want to report this problem in the courtroom. That's what we ought to do. That would at least shake some cages and let some people know that some things weren't done right. At least we could do that for our good brother Bill, because he knows things weren't done right. And you do too. But then you fault Bill. You point the finger at Bill, and you challenge Bill, and you talk about just the sign of the old rooster coming home to crow, as if he's getting what he deserved. Nobody gets what they deserve when they go to jail. Nobody. We all lose. Taxpayers and the person that's stuck in jail pressing license plates. Unfortunately, Bill's health may not hold out. He has eye problems, and unfortunately, the least little infection could kill him. Nobody was thinking about what would happen if Bill didn't make it through the night in the prison. Nobody was thinking about the cold nights that he had to sleep on the floor of that little mat. Nobody was thinking about the terrible foods that he had to take in that could actually upset his stomach and give him a stomach flu. Nobody. But see, we wanted to show ourselves big. Now we can lash out at Bill, and now we can get him back. That's not the thing to do. Some of you weren't raised right, and I see it, and it's coming out. Your colors are really shining through. So I want to say one thing for the record. Be like the villagers. Always look for those that are floating downstream. And if you can throw them a life belt, throw them a life belt or a lifeguard. But when you see the SOS signs go up, know that they need help. And don't get on the other side and side with the other people, irregardless if he was wrong. You tell him that in privacy, but we don't air our dirty laundry while in the midst of Anglo-Saxons. And that's the bucket-naked truth. Ruth. Stay tuned for another segment from Omi's production studio. Thank you so very much for listening, and have a great evening. Oh, Dabo. Baba Booey to you, y'all. Peace.